Three of those men, they employ hundreds of thousands of workers, and that's what we're thinking about right now, that jobs report tomorrow, exactly what the markets will be focusing on first thing in the morning. Gary Burnison is the CEO of Korn Ferry International, the largest executive search firm in the world. Lloyd Chapman is president of the American Small Business League. And I'm going to start with you, Gary. How would you characterize the job market right now?
Well, it depends at what level. You know, in terms of the top shelf opportunities, they're still there, but as you go down further in the workforce, people have hiring freezes on. The reality is the banking system has been in shambles, and CEOs have been hoarding cash. Cash has become, you know, God, not just king.
And Lloyd, in the small business area, how are things there? Pretty
horrible.
tough.
I don't think we've hit bottom yet. You're seeing small businesses closing every day. I was in Southern California just a few days ago, and about a half a dozen businesses that I frequented just 6 weeks ago have closed. So I think it's looking very bad for small business. I think it's going to get worse, and I don't think we've hit bottom yet.
Let me ask both of you guys a question. Start with you, Gary. You know, we're all whoop-de-doo today. What if we hit what a lot of people think is possible, 11% unemployment? It all starts with jobs. Then housing doesn't get corrected. Nothing gets corrected. And until we get this fixed, no real light in the woods. I don't want to be a dooms guy, but I'm scared about tomorrow.
Well, sure. I mean, it's probably going to be negative. Look, this country has consumed more than it's produced for many, many years. And that's the structural issue that we have to take care of longer term.
But it's...
go ahead. I was going to say, Gary, you know, traditionally when you have a recession, even after the economy begins to pick up, you know, it's the lag before employment picks up. It was 2001. It was 1991. Wasn't the case in 1982, actually, Reagan's tax cuts. But
well, there was a double dipper, though, remember?
Yeah. But do you see any sign that that won't be the case this time, that when the economy does get a little bit of oomph in front of it, that we're going to see a big pickup in employment, and we're not going to have that terrible, maybe 18-month, you know, lag?
Jobless recovery.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, look, if you look back over the last 5 recessions, as you say, it takes about 6 to 9 months for there to be positive job creation. And I think that's, that's reasonable to conclude that today.
And Lloyd, the Obama administration has put in place steps from the Small Business Administration to try and help small business. I realize we're in the very, very early stages of that program. Will that help, do you think?
I doubt it. I think they're statistically insignificant. He's offered just a small handful of tax incentives. And in comparison to what the $2.3 trillion they've given Wall Street, it's just insignificant. You have to realize here in America, 98% of all U.S. firms have less than 100 employees, and those firms create 97% of the new jobs.
I wish we can get off this given to Wall Street. If they don't stabilize Wall Street and stabilize the banking sector, Main Street doesn't come back, period.
We got that, but that's not even the discussion. That's a given.
Well, no, that's not what we just heard. But let me make another point, because Bill alluded to it, the jobless recovery notion. If you go back to 2001, we had a jobless recovery after a relatively shallow recession. If you go back to 1991, a jobless recovery until 1994. Again, a very shallow recession. Even if you go back to the 80 to 82 period, which is, as Lloyd said, was a double dip, you did not feel the economy recover in real terms till about 1984. These things take time to feel. You know, there's one thing to have the statistical analysis that says you're out of the woods. It's another thing for people to feel.
Ken Rogoff of Harvard, he just did a great study, you know, look at how economies perform after banking crises. Yeah. And his prediction, I mean, forget about 10, 11, I mean, he was talking close to 13% unemployment, which is one of the higher numbers I've heard. But, I mean, that's, if you look at history, that's kind of maybe what we should expect.
I saw you flinch on that, Gary.
Oh, that's hard to believe. I mean, you know, this is the Great Recession. It's not the Great Depression.
Yeah, but the whole recession's been hard to believe. It's been like a black swan.
13% was what we did in 82.
Guys, you know what concerns me a little bit is that we talk cavalierly, we talk about the economy, and 700,000 jobs is 700,000 families. Right. So it's not, I feel as a country, as a nation, as capitalists, as people on this network, it's not just good enough to say, oh, we can come out of the recession with joblessness still at 8, 9, 10%. We're not going to become a better society if we don't just stop looking at it as numbers. That's wrong. We're not doing right if we're not fixing it.
We should call it a 7 handle? Is that what you're saying? We shouldn't be flipping?
No, I'm just saying it's okay. Well, you know, if it's just this, and, you know, and we can come out of it still with 10% unemployment. Like, we got to fix that.
You're right, Gary. What's your name again? You're right, Donnie. but when you're looking at the economy in the aggregate, you have to look at it as numbers. I mean, you can't. I got it. But and at this point,
you tell the guy that's out of work. Don't worry. There's a 9-month lag.
Well, then maybe we should pass a stimulus package.
Why are you patting me on the arm when you say that? Because there historically is a 9-month lag. I mean, you cannot go door to door and tell everybody, okay, listen, I'm going to tell you that tomorrow you will have a job, your neighbor won't, the next guy's going to have a job, that neighbor won't. we can only deal.
Maybe there could be some, I understand we have to fix the banks first, but with the same urgency we did that, maybe some small business guys, instead of, he's really done nothing for small business, frankly, Obama. Is all that he's done
absolutely.
right. All that he's done right. I got to tell you, nobody
He's going to hurt small business.
Nobody
with the
touts
tax
that
increases.
guy more than I do.
70% of small business profits are going to be affected by this tax increase. 70% of small business profits.
C-suite guys, that's okay.
Look,
you go down that level.
Main Street is not going to get fixed until you fix the banking system.
And I got agreed.
There needs to be a safety net.
Agreed, but maybe there can be some parallel tracks sped up a little bit down from Main Street.
Until you unclog the arteries of credit, small businesses don't have a shot.
Right.
Okay.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I mean, with the exception of, look, I mean, idiosyncratic startups are different.
Okay.
You know?
Lloyd, go ahead.
I don't think you have to. I don't think you can say that until we clean up the credit markets, small businesses aren't going to prosper, because a lot of small businesses aren't looking, for loans. In fact, quite frankly, I think very few small businesses are out there looking for loans. A lot of small businesses are operating and doing fine. So I disagree with the opinion that we have to fix Wall Street before small businesses recover. Why don't we fix small businesses and Wall Street maybe simultaneously? What's wrong with that idea?
Okay, final word.
You got that. I think Lloyd and what's his face agree on our open there.
Haas.
Lloyd, Gary,
Haas for now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. When we come back, getting ahead of tomorrow's trading, and if you missed it all day, here's the market.